Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today GWW Grainger Incorporated GWW just filed their annual report, and I am seeing a clear picture of board confidence and shareholder approval. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. The company held its annual shareholder meeting, and the results show pretty strong backing for the current leadership and their plans. Let's dive into what actually happened and what it means for investors. So this filing is an 8K, which is basically a report for big current events that shareholders need to know about. The earliest event reported here is the 29th of April 2026, which is the date of their annual shareholder meeting. The main point of this filing is to tell us exactly what happened at that shareholder meeting. Think of it as the official score for how the company's big decisions were voted on. First up, all of the directors that management nominated were elected. This is a big sign of confidence from the shareholders. It means that most people who voted were happy with the current board of directors and think they are doing a good job leading the company for the next year. When directors get elected with a huge majority of votes, it tells us that the shareholders trust the company's strategic direction. Let's look at the numbers for how these directors were voted in. For example, Rodney C. Adkins received 36,429,026 votes for him, and only 689,883 votes against him. That is a massive win. When you see numbers like this, it generally means shareholders believe the leadership is steering the ship in the right direction. Across the board, you see similar patterns for all the nominees. For George S. Davis, it was 36,458,914 votes for and 659,938 against. Catherine D. Jaspon got 366,39377 votes for and just 458,928 against. These are very strong numbers, indicating broad shareholder support for the management team. It is also worth noting the number of broker non-votes. This is where a broker holding shares for a client didn't receive voting instructions from the client. For all director nominees, the number of broker non-votes was 4092328. This is a standard part of these votes, but it is good to see that the votes cast for the directors far outweighed the votes against and abstentions. Next, shareholders voted on ratifying Ernst & Young LLP as the independent auditor for 2026. This proposal was also approved. The numbers here were 39167913 shares for the appointment, 1824734 against, and 247,786 abstentions. Keeping a consistent and trusted auditor is crucial for financial transparency and investor confidence. It signals that the company is committed to accurate financial reporting. Finally, there was an advisory vote on approving the compensation for the company's top executives, often called a say on pay vote. This proposal was also approved. Specifically, 3571433 shares were voted in favor, 1299429 against, and 134,543 abstained. While advisory is strong for vote here, suggests shareholders are generally comfortable with how executive compensation is structured and aligns with company performance. Looking at the broader picture, GWW Grainger Incorporated. GWW is a significant player in the industrial distribution sector with a market cap of $54.9 billion and a PSI ratio of 32.8. This filing essentially confirms that the company's existing leadership and its approach have the backing of its shareholders, which is a positive sign for stability and continued execution of their strategy, especially as they prepare to report their second quarter earnings. The institutional holders like Vanguard Group Incorporated and BlackRock Incorporated also hold substantial stakes, indicating that large investors are watching the company closely. The overwhelming approval for directors and key proposals suggests that investors are comfortable with the company's direction and governance. This type of unified shareholder support can often translate into a smoother operating environment and greater ability to execute long-term plans. There aren't any major red flags or surprises in this filing. It's a straightforward confirmation of shareholder confidence. The report is signed by Paul J. Stanukinas, Vice President and Corporate Secretary on May 1st, 2026, shortly after the shareholder meeting. Overall, the story here is one of strong shareholder confidence in GWW Grainger Incorporated. GWW the REIT, election of all director nominees and the approval of auditor appointments and executive compensation plans paint a picture of a well-governed company with shareholder alignment. The risk I am watching is always the broader economic environment for industrial distribution, but based on this vote, the internal governance and leadership structure appears solid. What I am actually looking for is how this stability translates into future earnings growth, especially with Q2 earnings on the horizon. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Consider joining our Discord in the description.